Yeah, I completely understand. And, you know, we knew that there was going to be for the next $1,000 a year for the next 10 years.
Fingers
So
crossed.
ultimately, I think that's the goal that you want to get to with your budget, is focus on your fire assessment for the next 10 years and spend 170, 180.
Fingers
So that's the goal.
I'm going to remind you all, though, that anytime you implement a special tax, it almost always, if not always, has to go to referendum.
Most definitely.
You know,
Yeah.
so keep in mind, too, that that's something that I wouldn't put your eggs in that basket
Right.
in case the public comes back and says,
Correct.
not interested.
What is, so the chief said that their fire is 70% assessment. What is ours?
About
40.
50%? Pull it up. 62%.
62%.
Sorry, 65. 65% of our revenues comes from our fire assessment fees. Right, the fire protection side of it.
Okay.
Fire protection side.
Yeah.
That
The
doesn't
good
count
thing
for
about
the
the good thing
ALS
about the
and whatnot.
EMS side of it, believe it or not, the county does provide us with in-kind services. Like most of our medical equipment that we use is given back to us by the county. So if I put an order in on Monday for 500 Band-Aids, I get 500 Band-Aids from the county. We don't pay for those kind of things. We pay for our medical supplies and our equipment that we have, our regular equipment that we have to maintain, like our life packs and things like that. But we do get, you know, equipment and things from the county. Our radios, 10 of our radios came from the county. They belong to them. So they do provide those kind of services for us also.
Okay. Well, I think we know what we got to do. I'm entertaining a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we make the fire assessment fee $250. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion $250.
It's been proper.
Hey, don't worry about it. Again, my name is Andrea Atkins, and I understand what you were saying. I understand. I did not know it was a flat fee for everyone, for the homes. But my question is, so where do the citizens of High Spring get a hardship form from? And that's what I like to know, because I like to help them. If they need it, I like to help them fill that form out.
Thank you for that.
I have 37 years of social service experience, and I like to help the citizens of High Spring.
Can we put that on the website? Is that through the clerk's office? Can we put a link on our website to it? I mean, is that? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Are we able to get that information in our next garbage and water bill for notice of, to at least let people know? Everybody gets that, don't they? A piece of paper billing?
And certainly easily put a memo on the bill. That's a super easy thing to do. If we add additional pieces of paper, it sounds silly, but the way the bill folder works, it's a beast, and we end up doing it manually for 3,000 people. Happy to do it if it's what you guys would like to see done. We can do that.
I just want everybody to have the opportunity to at least know about it, and it's up to them to make that call.
Yeah, as much education as
I
possible.
think the city manager should do another video about it. It'd be great.
That's a great idea.
He's very photogenic.
Almost 9,000 views. That's a great idea. I'm serious.
Do we have any other public comment on this?
Good evening. My name is Mike Coward. I'm a citizen here in High Springs. First of all, I'm really glad to hear that we have some mechanism in there for a hardship. $250 a year for fire service fees is less than $1 a day. So I don't think that's unreasonable for us to be able to pay. But that's coming from someone who works, who has a wife who works in the house. So, but for those of us who in our community who have a fixed income or who may be retired or don't have any income at all, that could pose a hardship. So I greatly appreciate that we have that mechanism. The messaging so far is not there. I also got the message 2 days ago that we were having an increase and that the hearing was today. So So whatever happened with the post office or whatever, maybe have that information, hey, if this is going to pose a hardship on you in bold red print whenever you're sending that out, maybe that's your messaging. Please contact our office. Here's how to do it. Websites are fantastic, but if you're in a fixed income home and you may not have the ability to be able to access the website. So however we can do that, I think is very important. I'd also like to say that so that the fire station, I really do appreciate that this was mentioned earlier, that this fire station did not come overnight. This is something that's been built over a couple of years, so I'm not certain why it's all of a sudden a crisis right now. I do agree that what Kevin said about having this as the money that you do receive from the county, have something to build towards capital improvements later on, but to rely on that, it ebbs and flows with the calls. Sometimes that's going to sway one way or sway the other. So I think right now, relying on that for the budget for the fire department is unrealistic. I think that the fire department budget is going to increase, just like we're seeing with wastewater, just like we're seeing with garbage collections. So it's a marketable business to say that we're going to keep the firefighters at the same pay rate for a couple of years to make up for our inability to plan, I don't think is realistic. We have to make certain that our firefighters are paid enough to where we can recruit good people into the community, so that way the people who are in charge of saving our lives are going to be good folks that can do that. So secondly, I'd like to say that with having a good fire department here locally, it also improves our ISO ratings. I moved into the city of High Springs last year, within the city, within 500 feet of a fire hydrant, just because I knew that I could leverage that in my homeowner's insurance. That's a huge impact. And whenever we're talking about this, I don't think the messaging's out there of all of the wonderful benefits that having a great fire department in our local community provides for us. So that's something that should be a consideration. Thank you for letting me comment.
Thank you, sir.
To follow up on what Mr. Cowart said, I've been working diligently to try to fix and find out if we can lower our ISO rating. We lower our ISO rating, people's property taxes or insurance goes down. I believe that we are getting really close, because we were very close where we were. The last time we did an assessment, it was 5 years ago, I believe. We are an ISO of 4. I wholeheartedly believe if we keep our fire department intact with the amount of staffing that we have and the amount of vehicles that we have, because of proper documentation now, a lot of the problems we had in the past were documentation issues. You have to document that you have training. You have to document that you have a water system that works. Thanks to Jason Keitel, we have a great hydrant system now. They're flushing hydrants. They're doing things properly, and it's being documented. All of those things give you points in ISO. We are currently 4 points away from lowering to a 3. And I really believe that with the next assessment, because we've taken the steps since I've gotten here to make sure all these things are documented, all these things are in place, as long as the department stays intact the way it is, I'm pretty confident we'll lower our ISO rating to a 3. I could be wrong, but I really do feel like we probably could. And I might eat crow for saying that, but I really do believe we're going to lower our ISO rating to a 3.
Do we need
Which
to
will
paint
save
some
the
more?
residents money.
Do we need to paint some more fire hydrants to get down to 3? Because I'll get out there and get them painted.
Yeah, no, we're doing a good. Jason's doing a great job. We're going to start helping Jason do the flows. Every year we have to flow every single hydrant in the city, every one of them, and we have to document that we've done that. Every 5 years we have to flow test a certain amount of those hydrants. That's already been done for the next 5 years. So I wholeheartedly believe we'll get more points for our water flows, and all of our training, thanks to Captain Pearson, has been diligently documented now. And then last assessment, we had 4 as a staffing. Now we have 5 as a staffing. That may help us out a little bit as far as ISO points go too. So those are things to consider when you're considering that also.
Thank you, Chief. Do
Yes,
we have
sir.
any other public comment?
I just want to do one more thing. I apologize. This assessment hasn't been done or hasn't been raised since 2008, right?
Well,
This-
no, 2019.
2019.
It's,
So 2019 it went
it's
into
about 6
2023.
years, yeah.
Yeah, the last study.
So just with that, we raised this year $27, roughly 12%.
Right.
Right? If it would have been raised for 2 years, 2021, the assessment would have been $279. So I think when the mayor said earlier about champagne dreams and beer budget, that's what it was. It was about having the services, and we haven't charged for these services in a very long time.
Right.
So that, to
We
me,
should have
I'm glad
incremented-
we're moving forward.
Yeah, we should have incrementally increased because Chief Theus is right. There was no surprise that Station 21 was coming. It doesn't take 1 year to build a fire station. The planning of that fire station took 4 to 5 years in order for it to happen. I don't know what happened before I got here, but we should have been increasing fire assessment fees a little at a time so we don't have this big burden on our residents this year and next year possibly.
Correct.
So,
Thank you, Chief.
yes, sir.
And no other citizen comment? Okay, it's been properly moved. No, sir. It's been properly moved and seconded. This is a resolution. So can I get a roll call, please?
Mayor Grunder,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Bloodsworth,
Yes.
Commissioner Howell,
Yes.
Commissioner Whites.
Yes.
Okay, move on to new business item 4. Discuss potential updates to the High Springs ordinance limiting alcohol sales within 500 feet of a church. And Commissioner White, I see this is your baby.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it. When we were discussing the alcohol ordinance earlier, and at the comment that Vice Mayor Miller made in terms of distances and whatnot, staff put this map together that we had in our packet, and it brought to rise the fact that we've got an existing business that does not meet that 500-foot setback. So I had talked to the city manager and have spoken to Danielle quite a bit about maybe revising this current ordinance to give rise to the possibility for there to be an opportunity, a petition for, some kind of appeasement of that limitation. Certainly the suggestion is not that we shut down a business that's already been open, but can we get agreement with the church that does limit that to make sure that we're all square? And I know there's another restaurant in town that cannot serve beer or wine at all because of the proximity to a church that's renting a space at the time. Would they have an opportunity to maybe petition in some regard to allow for that? So that's why I was bringing this to us. Danielle, did you have?
I do. I have looked into this because we talked about it at the last meeting, and I wanted to give you some options, give you some ideas, so that you can give me some feedback on where you'd like to go, if you'd like to go. Orlando and Titusville are two municipalities that seem to have a really good handle on the fact that there are restaurants that just want to serve beer and wine, and maybe the regulation about that 500-foot distance or whatever their distance is isn't really serving the public purpose that they want it to serve with the restaurants. So Orlando's is a bit complex, as you can imagine. It's probably overkill. Titusville is a very reasonable and candidly kind of mild change. They carve out exceptions to their church distance rule. And so I've got it pulled up. There's only 5 of them. So if I can just run you through them really quick. The first one is any church that executes a waiver in writing that the restriction against on-premises consumption of alcoholic beverages, and theirs is 300 feet, so I'm going to keep saying 300, but yours would be 5, within 300 feet shall not apply or be asserted by the church. So if a church signs something that says, we're not really worried about it, businesses around it could open up and serve alcohol. Any real property authorized for off-the-premises sale of beer and malt beverages as provided in Florida Statute 56302. So those are going to be your breweries. We've talked about that. Any real property within the downtown community redevelopment area. Titusville has a CRA area that is really kind of their bustling downtown district. But, some of those churches are going to predate their bustling downtown district, and they didn't want them to be impacted by this restriction. Any real property which is licensed for a restaurant of which derives at least 51% of its gross revenue from the sale of food and non-alcoholic beverages pursuant to Florida Statute Chapter 509. So you notice that that mirrors our same language about being open on Sundays, is that we say if you derive 51% or more of your gross revenue from the sale of foods, you're not excluded on Sundays. So we could mirror that same language in this, so it would be a restaurant, because I believe one of the properties that you were just talking about, Commissioner Whites, is a restaurant. So they would automatically be exempt. So the presence of a church, if you were to follow Titusville in High Springs, wouldn't impede their ability to serve beer and wine or alcoholic beverages, so long as they continue to function as a restaurant and not turn into a bar. They also include a temporary permits to certain not-for-profit organizations. So if you have a pop-up, if you will, or a one-time event, they exclude that. And then they have this kind of tedious language wherein they talk about if the church or alcoholic beverage establishment is authorized to locate within a shopping center by a conditional use permit. They must get kind of crazy with their LDC here. And or receipt of an occupational license as applicable shall be exempt from the above stated distance restriction as applied within the boundary of the shopping center. So if you end up with one on either side of the shopping center, you're not going to run into this issue. So Titusville is your most straightforward. I can go through Orlando's with you, but theirs is complicated because they have this specific downtown district. And it kind of follows the same logic. It's just much more comprehensive because they have a lot going on. And they've got areas where you've got bars on bars on bars. So Titusville seemed to be something that you all could look to for guidance, and I think it would resolve the brewery, it would resolve this restaurant that's, I believe that the church is leasing the property, but right now because of this restriction, they're not allowed to serve beer and wine. So those are some options for you guys, and I just wanted to elicit some feedback from you all to guide me. Are you interested? No interest? Would you like to see what it looks like in your ordinance? You know, I can bring back language for you all to see what it looks like in High Springs.
I love the two about the shopping center as well as the CRA. Like we're trying to bring people into our downtown area. That's something that's right along those same lines, that if you're inside that, then it doesn't apply. But
I would like to give more deference to the faith-based community if possible and give them more say in it.
Sure.
Because I've never heard anybody from St. Bart say, oh, God, the brewery's 455 feet away. I don't think they care less.
Sure.
So I would like for more of that decision-making to be with the church owners. I would like for them to be the ones that give the say. I don't know what we would need to do in terms of the process, but I think it should be up to, if you wanted to have an establishment open next to one certain church, some of them are going to say, sure, great, no problem, we'll come over after services. Others would say no. And I'd like to give them the ability to drive that train as much as possible.
then that one, you also, I like the other one too, sorry, the third one was the written from the church saying.
Right.
That's.
Especially if they were there first.
Sure.
They should be able to have some say.
Well, and keep in mind, the way that your ordinance reads right now, if the church was there I'm sorry, I'm going to give you the reverse.
Right.
If the alcohol establishment was there first, they're grandfathered in.
Right.
The church, they can't then come in and say,
Right.
we're a church.
Sure.
So you've already got that built-in protection. So, there are different ways to look at it. We could look at a notice requirement. If someone's going to bring in under this section of your code, the church that's within 500 feet has to be notified of the public hearing. You can limit how many carve-outs you have. You don't have to include all of the ones that I've listed here. I just wanted to give you a comprehensive look. So those are different ways to think about it.
Now, maybe could we put a clause, maybe if you're leasing and you own. So if you lease, you don't have that jurisdiction because we don't know if you're leaving tomorrow. But if you own the building, it'll be different because we know they're going to be there for a while. But if that church owner is leasing a building, I don't know if they have the jurisdiction to tell everybody in the plaza you can't do this. And
Right.
they're just leasing
Right.
it.
Right.
I agree with that.
And we can look at ways to do that. I'd caution you that sometimes with leases, they're 30 years long, and so then do they renew for another 30 years? So that might be something that we have to play with, but I take your point absolutely of that may be something that we need to kind of parse through to address.
Because actually, even when there was an establishment that was selling alcohol there was always a church there. So I don't even know how that got passed because it's
Yeah.
been a church there for the longest.
Just a
It was a
different
church there before the church that's there now.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So how is our ordinance set up right now? Is it by the closest corner of the building, fence property, or by the entrance of the
It's
building?
door to door as the crow flies.
Door to door as the entrance door.
Correct. Your main entrance for each building, and then as the crow flies. I will say that Titusville changed their ordinance, but it used to be, and I'd have to look at, to make sure that they didn't change this for constitutionality purposes or lawsuit purposes, but at one point, Titusville had an ordinance that said, based upon the shortest pedestrian route from door to door, was how they measured their distance.
So you could have a gate that was then 10 feet of that distance. If they moved the gate 10 to 12 feet to guarantee they're past that 500 feet, that's acceptable?
Well, I think it's door to door of the building, of the actual structure. I don't think you get by on the technicality of a gate, depending on where the gate's located. I think it's front door of your building. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That's why I wanted to clarify, so if people sitting out here, they know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm almost positive that it is door of the structure to door of the structure as the crow flies.
Okay.
So if we have that situation right now, I guess what you're trying to decide on or figure out, do we want to allow the church to make that call?
Well, I mean, I think that, let's just put it out there. The brewery is only 455 feet from St. Bart's. I want to make sure, nobody's saying, the brewery's been there for years now. Nobody's saying we need to shut them down because they're that
Exactly.
close to St. Bart's.
Clarify
At all,
that right up.
At all. But there was no, in the process of them opening, Angela couldn't find any evidence of special use or, permits. So it just happened. It happened, fine, it happened. But it still doesn't comply with the ordinance on the book. So I wanted to give it an opportunity so that we could, I think that there'd be certainly legal argument that they're grandfathered in because they've been there.
Well, and I imagine at some point or another, they came in front of a commission,
Right.
wasn't you guys, for site plan approval
Right,
or,
right,
something to
right,
that effect. And
right.
should it have been caught then? Yes, probably.
Yeah.
But I would heavily advise against turning around and saying,
Sure, sure.
and that's not what you're suggesting.
No,
I
no,
just
no,
am clarifying that we are all on the same page
Right.
about that.
It just, it only brought it to my attention when we thought,
When
had
we
this
looked
map.
at the aerial.
But for the restaurant that is close to a church where
Mm-hmm.
they are leasing the property, it does impact them and they don't sell alcohol and they would really like to sell beer and wine.
Sure.
That's it. So, giving them a path to maybe request that. But to Vice Mayor Miller's point, would they request it from the property owner or from the congregation?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and keep in mind too that you all have done a good job in your ordinance of distinguishing between alcoholic beverages being liquor and fortified wine and malt beverages.
Right.
So maybe there's a world in which a carve out here happens of you could do fortified wine and malt beverages, you cover the brewery and you cover restaurants. You just say you can't serve hard liquor.
And that could exempt them from the 500 feet entirely without the need to petition anything.
However you all want to
Huh.
write it.
Well, that goes back to the church on Main Street down here, across from the funeral home. We have a couple of vacant buildings there. If somebody wanted to go in there and put
Right.
brewery in there, that's
Or
gonna
a wine bar.
or a wine bar.
Yeah.
Are we going to allow them to come in and get an exemption for that? Or are we going to set a precedent and say no 500 feet? 'Cause
Or
I'm
could
sure
they
those are
petition
within-
that church? If they wanted to open that up, could they petition that church for the permission to?
Well, and you all, if you were to follow Titusville, for example, and I'm just going to keep referencing back to that because you all are familiar with it, vaguely from our discussions, they could go straight to the church and say, we're talking about putting in a wine bar. Do you all have any objections? They say, no, don't worry about it. Good to go. Maybe the church says, we're not really sure about it. We're not sure. Are you guys going to be a restaurant? Are you going to be a wine bar? And so then maybe you go down to your next prong in your ordinance and it says, well, if we're a restaurant serving, our gross revenue is 51% or more of food, we're allowed to serve fortified wine and malt beer, but we can't serve alcohol. So then the church has expressed disinterest, but it still gives the property owner a route by which to be exempted. So, it's really in y'all's hands of how you want to handle it.
Well, we're trying to get away from the 51% because there's nobody monitoring that.
Sure, I understand that.
I know that's state language, but, you know, I mean, if something's classified as a restaurant, they have to, this would go to our LDC update too, though. You know, what classifies them as a restaurant? There are certain things.
Sure.
So, you know, maybe when we tidy up the LDC, we could take care of some of those loose ends.
Well, and you know, it's interesting you say that. One of the cities I was looking at in this whole process was talking, because I'm half keeping an eye on a definition of a restaurant, because I know that you're not loving the 51%.
Right.
There was one city, and it was probably a bit extreme, but it was, you know, you're open from X time to X time. You're going to serve food. You're going to submit your menu to the city. I mean,
Oh, heck no.
it's crazy, you know. Like
There you go, Chad.
some
That's
of
just exactly what I'm saying.
some folks are. It's clear that cities are struggling with this.
Yeah.
What is a restaurant? How do we define a restaurant? And then how do we monitor and enforce it? So, I mean, to your point, 51%. Is it working? Isn't it working? Who's to say? Do we really want people having to come in to submit menus
Nope.
to show us that they're going to serve food? Probably not.
Make sure they're serving good food.
So, you know, this is also something that I don't necessarily need direction on tonight. I can send you Titusville's, I can send you Orlando's, and then you've got a meeting a week from now. We're more than happy to take in direction then when you've had some time to sleep on it, when you haven't just gotten off of a plane from Alaska. So I just wanted to bring it up, and I know that Commissioner Whites and I had this discussion, and we've had it at a couple of meetings now, and so I just want to make sure that our office is following up as these projects come up, and we give you updates and options so that these projects continue to move along.
Okay.
Now, this doesn't open us up for, say a resident says, well, you let the church tell them they don't want to be open, and they approve them being open, but it's a resident stay right next door, and they say, well, we don't want them to be open. It doesn't open up that door for them to have that.
I mean,
right.
they can do that. They can do that now. If there's no church, let's say, and it's, you know, it's zoned appropriately. Keep in mind too that your zoning also protects you from some of this in your comprehensive plan. So, you know, you guys have a couple of areas where you've got commercial right up against residential, but I mean, it's been like that for years. You're not going to have somebody who's in a house right now, all of a sudden in the middle of a residential zone, go, I'm going to turn this into commercial. And I'm not speaking as though you guys would decide that, but I find it hard to believe that the five of you would think, yeah, no, that's in keeping with our zoning and our comprehensive plan. So I don't believe that it's going to open you up to litigation.
Okay.
So if the instruction from the commission tonight is just send us all the information you've got, and we'll kind of noodle on it and get back to you and let our office know maybe at the next meeting, happy to do that. I know that you all have been drinking out of a fire hose, no pun intended.
Yep. That'd be great if that's okay, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get that sent out to y'all first thing in the morning so that you've got, I know that we're on a tight turnaround for that next meeting, so I'll get that sent out to you first thing.
No worries. Thank you, Danielle. I
Of course.
appreciate it.
Okay. So, moving on. Item 5, remember, was scratched, so item 6 becomes 5. So, new business item 5.
Okay, so this is, we're trying to fix a Scrivener's error, is the quickest way to summarize the series of events that I'm about to tell you all. Bridalwood's plat says that the public right-of-ways are dedicated. I just need someone to teach me Pig Latin, so I can just. Bridalwood's plat dedicated the right-of-ways to the city of High Springs. It was a Scrivener's error. It was supposed to go to their HOA. They filed a Scrivener's error affidavit in the public record saying it's a Scrivener's error. It was supposed to say the HOA. It accidentally said High Springs. And then they went to get their FDOT permit, and FDOT said, oh, no, you've given maintenance responsibilities and public right-of-way maintenance to the city of High Springs. We don't want that. We're not interested in it. So they've asked the city to execute a quick claim deed. So you're not representing anything regarding title. You're not saying title's good. You all don't have any real interest in this property. But they've asked you all to consider executing a quick claim deed to assist them in rectifying this Scrivener's error. Again, you all don't, it's just the driveway on 45. So it's just that little piece. If you look at the exhibit to the quitclaim deed, it's just that little driveway parcel. that they're asking you all to execute a quitclaim deed saying that you don't own it.
And just for the record, that's typically how all these developments are done anyway, correct?
This is, I mean, it's really just a Scrivener's error. I mean, a lot, so you've got like 50-50 in your developments in High Springs. Some of them dedicate the public right-of-ways to the city of High Springs. We review the roads, the lighting, and then we say, yeah, we're gonna accept it, we'll maintain the roads. Others, the plats, will dedicate it to the HOA, and then the HOA is responsible for the public right-of-ways, the driveways. That's what they meant to do here. It was just a Scrivener's error.
This is probably the easiest Bridlewood conversation we've had.
I know, that's what, when Miss Evans sat back down, I wanted to reassure her that it was.
I know, I saw it on the thing first, I was like, no, nope, not tonight.
You love that little jump scare at the end that I saved for you, didn't you?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the quitclaim deed.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any citizen comment? Okay, all those in favor?
Ooh,
Nope,
oh,
nope,
nope.
nope,
Go
nope,
ahead.
nope. Come on, come on.
Jay Brown with JB Pro. We were the company that did the original design and the plat, and I think your attorney did a good job of explaining it. The ultimate goal, just to make sure you're aware, is to give that property to the DOT. But on a plat, you can't really dedicate it to the DOT, so to speak. So the idea was that it might come from the city to the DOT, but that didn't work out, so that's why we're taking this avenue. But it'll go to the HOA, who will then dedicate it, and it's a kind of a laborious process, and you probably want them having to deal with trying to get that all ironed out with the DOT. So that's just more of some of the background, but we appreciate you all helping us with this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Kudos to you for staying this whole time, just
for
to be able to
this.
speak to that.
Any other citizen comment? It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, city attorney report and update.
Well, you guys just saw most of my week, actually. I did want to let you all know that something that I'm doing in a couple of my cities right now, Newberry included, is we are looking at, there is an ordinance from Ponte Vedra that designates public places versus non-public forums for purposes of city buildings to assist with clarification for staff of, where are folks supposed to be, where are they allowed to be. I'm not going to get into to boring you all with a constitutional law lecture of your 4 different kinds of public forums, but something that will be coming down the pike. I gave a training to staff on responding to First Amendment auditors and handling, things like that in a very respectful way. At the end of the day, the city of High Springs wants to uphold the integrity that it prides itself in having. So we did a training on how we respond to those public records requests, how we respond to First Amendment auditors. Mr. Marshall was there. I like to think it went well. I don't think I bored them too bad. But something that we may be looking at coming down the pike that I'd like to bring before you is an ordinance that Ponte Vedra did designating, office space as a non-public forum, things to that nature. It actually was challenged in a court of law and it was upheld as constitutional. So we've got some solid footing from the court system telling us that this is within our rights and you're not trouncing on First Amendment rights of individuals. But it also provides clear guidelines for staff when they're not sure, am I allowed to let people in this area? Am I not supposed to let people allowed in this area? It just takes away some of that confusion. So I just wanted to let you know that we are working on that behind the scenes. Staff has received a training on it, and we're hoping to get that ordinance in front of you here in the next month or so.
Fantastic. That's actually very, very much needed, unfortunately, right now in this country. City manager report now.
Mine is very short. All I've done is budget since I've seen you last. However, Commissioner Howell and I attended the Florida League of Cities conference. It was good. Him and I think we only attended one class together, and that was an AI class. Of course, I'm not going to miss the AI class. The one class I wanted to go to, the whole reason I went to the conference was a workshop on Doge. And Commissioner Howell and I showed up, and they weren't letting any more people in the room. They were over capacity. So the one thing I wanted to go to, I couldn't. So besides that, it's been budget, working on this presentation. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Diane. Diane has been at my hip for the last 3 weeks, and all the staff worked together, and so, like I said, none of these suggestions we liked, but we presented them anyways. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner, comments and concerns?
Yeah, I'm going to touch on that AI class. It was absolutely amazing. The city manager for Altamont Springs, just to give us all hope, because we worked really hard tonight in here, and I didn't see any fights, which was really cool. But Altamont Springs has, they've been debt-free as a city for 13 years. They use AI for so much, and it was just a very, very interesting concept. They have autonomous vehicles for public transport. And I remember I got married in Altamont Springs, and it wasn't like that. I could tell you. And then social media. I think something, and I'll touch on it again, what Kevin and the city manager did with that video. Another city in the state of Florida received some awards at the conference for what they do with video and including the citizens in what they do. And, you know, it helps the citizens as well as the city, because I don't know how many people go on social media, and I'm trying to quit because it's really not okay. But there's a lot of rumors that come out really fast, and I think if we can jump ahead of it, it would really help us connect with the citizens a little bit better. So I will say that it was very, very useful, and it was a great conference. So.
Good deal.
I'm glad to be back in High Springs, but I left a beautiful place, I can tell you all. I guess leaving here tonight, I know a lot of people have been very involved in it. I'm grateful for that and watching online. Okay, we've made no decision. When are we going to set up a time to make this decision? Because I want the firemen or any other employees to be able to rest. They're worried right now where we're going, what direction we're going to go. We need to quit kicking the can. We all know that. Yep. The can's been kicked down the road way too long. So where are we at moving forward with this, Mr. Marshall? How are we going to make a decision and when?
You can give me guidance tonight on which direction you want to go. However, we got a meeting in a week. I thought I'd let it marinate for a week, give the citizens a chance to reach out to you to show their opinion. I mean, we had a great showing tonight, but we had 8,900 views on that video, so there's 8,850 people that didn't show up tonight. Give them a chance to reach out to you, reach out to me, and express what they want, and maybe next week you guys can give me some guidance on which way you want to go.
Because this needs to be settled.
It's got to be settled before I think it's September 13th is when we do our budget hearing, so we really need
September 8th. It's
What's
a
that?
Monday.
8th and 22nd. I don't know where I came with 13th.
It's
But
Thursday.
I need guidance before then so I can put together a good budget for you.
So then we're going to make a decision next week to decide on the date for a vote or direction. Is that what you're saying?
I would like direction next week.
Yes, yes, okay. Good enough, thank you.
Yep. A couple questions. Somebody reached out for me about a surcharge for a trash bill. I guess they were late on their trash bill and they got a reconnect or a reestablished service fee that was like double the charge. Does that happen?
I know exactly what you're talking about because
Okay.
I talked to April.
Okay.
No, there is a late penalty on your bill. So all your services are together. So regardless of what you have on there, if you don't pay, the first late fee is $5. The next one's $25. So it's just a matter of how far out they are late. And this particular person that you talked to, they had their late fees waived because everyone gets one courtesy
Okay.
over their time.
So it's a Delta T thing. It's a time. Because I've paid a $5 late fee for
Yes,
my
and
trash
if
bill
you-
before.
Right, and you may pay a $5, and if you still don't pay it, then you're gonna get a $25 in interest, so that's
So that's a flat late fee for utilities. What if, so that's just a flat fee per the bill?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
okay,
Yep,
okay.
thank you.
And in terms of the conversations we were going to try to have with the county on the joint outreach, I know Mr. Vice Mayor was going to talk to the Children's Trust.
So we were set up for a Children's Trust meeting earlier this week, and I was running around with my head cut off, and I told Vice Mayor Miller that I wasn't gonna be able to attend that meeting.
Okay.
I was just trying to get ahead of this. And
Yeah.
I told him, you know, by all means, you can meet by yourself, or would you want me there?
Mm-hmm.
And we'd agreed maybe to push it out a couple weeks and talk to the Children's Trust after this is kind of
Okay.
calmed down. So we're
Okay.
gonna be meeting with them.
Okay.
We already got the date set, I think is in 2 weeks.
Okay. And then in terms of any conversation with the county, that's kind of a separate conversation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if you need me to help with that, I'm happy to, but I don't want to step in the way or get in the middle of anything, because it's kind of a big effort, I know. Let's see. Danielle, you kind of answered the question, well, we were talking about the penny tax, but that's a sales tax, I guess.
Typically, the penny taxes are sales taxes.
So if it's a sales tax, is that funding, if we could get that whenever we can, obviously not now, is that all to general fund? Is that pigeonholed in any particular way?
Giving gut reaction, I think it's general fund. You just have to make sure that you haven't, kind of pigeonholed yourself.
Right.
That's something that we can absolutely explore with the county as well. The county has been great throughout this whole process of us trying to figure out wild spaces, public places. Diane and I have had a number of meetings with them. So I think that looking to the county for some guidance on that as well, we can do that and bring that back to you all just as a general information item.
I think it's a great idea. If it's something we can, as a
Sure.
municipality can do.
Sure,
That's
and,
great.
and I think that there was some back and forth tonight as to whether or not a municipality could do
Right.
a penny tax, so we'll look into that as well.
Okay. And I got to give a shout out to Mr. Alan Alligood and his employees in the building department. You guys know that I pull permits pretty regularly, and pulling a permit with our city department is so smooth. And we pulled one personally. I pulled one for the day job, but we pulled one personally, and Phyllis and Tammy and even Mr. Alligood are amazing. And I just want to thank you guys for your dedication. I really appreciate it. And Mr. Marshall, this room was filled to overflowing because of what you did. And I want to thank you for that effort. The engaged community here absolutely filled my heart. So I want to thank you for that. That's it.
I want to piggyback on that and say, awesome job with the video, you and Kevin. But I also want to say awesome job to Commissioner Whites, because she helped push out the word too with your Facebook post as well, because it got on all the words of mouth pages that shared it. So thank you for that as well. I bet this person doesn't think that they're going to be city employee of the week, but she compiled all the information for tonight's budget workshop. Miss Diane Wilson.
Wow.
I did until this week.
Okay, I'll keep mine quick. I think I actually have a concern this week, and it's over the number you came up with, the 300,000 that you pushed out to the county. To me, I'll be honest, I thought that was kind of negotiating, and my concern is I'm not happy with that number. I think it's too low. I don't think we should have taken less with them. I think we should have negotiated a little harder maybe and pushed. And I know they've said since they're not talking anymore, but I didn't know where we got that number from.
That
And
was negotiations that Mr. Marshall and Chief Peters
Okay.
were working with them on.
I thought we were going to a different number than that, I must admit. But I want it to come from all of us, you know what I mean? Because I think we all want it. So I wish that would have kind of gone a different route, but there's not. And that's the problem, is I got to do this in a meeting and talk, because there's no avenue where I can call.
I'm not following you. Can you?
Well, it looked as though, I think, that maybe you were like, oh, I'm negotiating almost with the county on the
Gotcha.
the commission's behalf, when I don't have a problem with that. I just wish we would have sat down and maybe talked about it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
directed maybe, and that's all.
No, I hear what you're
I know
saying.
it's not malicious at all.
No, not at all. No, I
But,
hear what you're saying.
But that would have been something, just because I don't love the 300 number. I'd like to hold their feet to the fire more, because I don't think we have enough data at all after 2 months to say that this isn't even going to hold up. And
Yeah.
I think to me, it seems like they're pushing in on us and poaching in order to put us into a spot. And they say they don't want it, but they keep building closer and closer and sliding in. I don't know.
I was hoping, I mean, I took that number, like I said, from Mr. Marshall and Chief. They had doing their negotiation with Chief Theus, and I think that the county commission really doesn't have any idea how those negotiations go. They simply are taking their data from their chief, just like we take ours from our chief. So I was hoping that the county commission hearing from a city commissioner, because I emailed the county commissioners, just to let them know, hey, here's what's going on. Could you give us a little bit of grace? If I don't hear from them, I would like to go to a county commission meeting. Would you prefer to do that yourself?
No, I don't prefer. I mean, I would come with you. I think we could all go.
I don't know if we can do that,
Can we
though.
all- we probably
Sunshine
all
law,
can't
that'd
go.
probably be at lick.
Jump in there. Jump in there. This is the sunshine law stuff. I
Yeah.
know.
Make me
I
a
know
little
what we can
nervous.
and can't talk about, but
Yeah.
you know, I think the thing is that this is such a combined effort by all of us, and I really want it to come across to them, and I think it carries more weight when all 5 of us are standing strong on it. And I know we probably can't go.
It may be something, due to the importance of this, it may be something if the county commission would be willing to do one of your joint meetings at an unusual time. I recognize that you all normally do your regularly scheduled joint meetings, but given the fact that, you all are saying we'd really like all 5 of us to be able to look at them, it would be worth asking. All the worst they can say is no.
Yeah.
You want to take point on that?
I would love to see if we could reach out and set up a joint meeting
Okay.
with the county on that, because I think, normally those meetings, and let's be real, normally kind of a lot of fluff. And this is actually something where we can
Right,
sit there and
right.
kind of push hard and say,
Right.
hey, look, we're all coming to you as a city and as a city commission and as a city of employees as well and people. Now, you guys got to look us in the face and tell us why. So I think that might, I don't know, I like the unity part of it. We've been so good about sending out the affected things together, the affected letters on our water and whatnot. And I just think I'd like to stick to that kind of togetherness. I think
Sure.
we're all on that together.
Well, I had somebody send it to me because I don't follow it, and I saw it through an email type thing, and I was taking it as you were just trying to get more notice out there for people. I didn't, and believe me, I didn't think she was negotiating. I just thought she was trying to get the word out to folks so they could see what we're dealing with.
Right, absolutely.
And help get people's awareness of what was being negotiated and how it was. And I kind of felt like the county was kind of snubbing you. A little bit.
I don't know if they were or not.
I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying that was the feeling I was getting, that you wasn't getting a response back.
I haven't heard from them, so I'll stand down at this point and defer to the mayor and let him see what we can get
I
together.
think we can at least ask for
Sure,
it. And I don't mind letting you go, because you've kind of spearheaded it already. I don't mind if they say, no, we're not doing a joint thing, then I say we empower you to go and kind of push forward. I would like to talk more about that 300 number, though, before we give it to them all the way like that. But
And that particular meeting, anybody could have attended, right?
Yeah, it would just be like your normal, the ones that you normally do where you talk about the road projects that are coming up and your partnership projects, and you typically talk a little bit about wild spaces, public places. You would just be asking them, can we do one specifically on this particular issue? And it would just be a public meeting like we normally do. Typically, the county's good about coming to us for those meetings too, so that the residents of High Springs can attend in their hometown.
Right.
Obviously I haven't talked to anybody at the county. I have no ability to bind them to it. I just thought it might be an idea based upon the feedback you guys
I
were
like
giving.
it. That way
Yeah.
we can have a hard, honest conversation looking across the table. I mean,
Well, and they might be able to tell the 5 of you things that you don't know, or because they can't tell you or haven't told you, and you hear it all at the same time, and you're not playing a game of, well, I heard this through a resident, and the resident told me. You're hearing it, residents are hearing it, kind of opens the door to just an honest conversation.
I love it. But thank you for listening to that. Thank you for
Sure.
sharing that.
Mr. Mayor, before we close,
Nope.
please,
Yes.
I know that we're talking about making a decision on budget, what direction you all are going to go in. I imagine that Mr. Marshall is probably already on the same page about this, but I would recommend that you make it an agenda item on the actual agenda, because it sounds like you're going to make a dispositive decision as opposed to moving forward with a consensus. This is something that, you're talking about raising rates, getting rid of a department, doing some combination thereof. It probably should be an agenda item.
That's what I was kind of wondering. Are
Sure.
we going to put it on the agenda, or are we just going to bring it
I
up?
would recommend, because at the workshops, you're allowed to make those consensus decisions. They're not really decisions, they're more so guidance. Mr. Marshall is kind of in a position where a decision has to be made on what to do. So I would put it on the regular agenda.
I can send out an amended.
I'm sorry, Angela. I'm sorry, Angela.
Okay, is that it?